This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
As more Central Indiana school districts lay out their plans for a safe return, students, teachers, and parents are bracing for major changes this school year. One big change is face covering requirements. Good evening, I'm Amanda Starrentino.
And I'm Mark Mullins. Tonight, RTV6's Cameron Riddle shows you how a couple on the south side of Indianapolis found a way to make ends meet during the pandemic while providing face masks options for kids.
The face mask, it is now part of daily life for people all over the world. And in Indiana, it's even mandated in several cities, including in Indianapolis. And while that's not welcome news for everyone, it has been life-changing for an Indianapolis seamstress and her business partner husband.
It's actually been really exciting that, we're able to have our own business now and pay the bills, pay for 4 kids, to eat.
Chelsea Snyder has been sewing pretty much her entire life. That's why it was only natural that she would eventually open a business making hundreds of items, from custom clothes to alterations, repairs, and retail items. It was a side business at first until her husband, Tim, lost his job due to the pandemic. But things changed when friends started asking the Snyders to make face masks. In an instant, the hobby became a full-time job called Stitches and Sundries.
We hadn't really thought about getting into the whole face mask business until, we started having multiple people ask us. And at that point, we added a listing to our website to be able to keep track of our orders a little easier. And then, it grew from there of, a few face masks here or there to, in the last week, we've put out almost 200 face masks.
The popularity of Chelsea and Tim's work is due to the customizable options, attractive prints, and sizes for adults, young kids, and now even toddlers. In their words, it's something handmade, unique, and nerdy for everyone.
We have a kid size that is recommended down to 4 to 6, and then we also have a toddler size that covers down to size age 2.
Those smaller masks will come in handy for families in Perry Township, where the Snyders live, as the school district has now mandated that all staff and students from pre-K to 12th grade wear masks when school reopens later this month. Snyder says the masks are getting rave reviews from her own kids.
My daughter is in love with Paw Patrol and Elsa, and she doesn't necessarily want to just have the kid surgical masks. And so, I made her own little face mask that has Elsa on it.
In Indianapolis, Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
And as Cameron mentioned, the Perry Township School District is requiring masks for all staff and students. However, free masks will be provided for anyone who needs one.
Some students may have questions about wearing masks at school. Dr. Christina Connolly with the National Association of School Psychologists says it's important to have those kinds of talks.
So just try to make sure you're educating your kids about best practices, and you're talking to them about if someone isn't, maybe why that's occurring, to help them to understand, to try to eliminate anxiety that may exist.
Dr. Connolly says younger kids will need reassurance and transparency about what school will look like and what's expected of them.
Another Marion County school district is delaying the start of in-person classes due to the pandemic. Wayne Township is now scheduled to start classes on August 12th. The district says moving the date back will help officials address things like technology changes and personal protective equipment supplies. Wayne Township plans to offer in-person and at-home learning options for students. Yesterday, Washington Township announced school will start as scheduled, but virtually only until further notice. And many other Central Indiana school districts have announced their reopening plans, including the ones you see on your screen. Most plan to start as scheduled and offer in-person and virtual learning options. For details, go to your district's website.
While school district leaders and health officials say it is safe to return to classrooms with precautions, many teachers and staffers are not so sure. Today, the vice president of the Indiana State Teachers Association shared some of her members' concerns with RTV6.
What resources are in place for staff, for students, and for the community when a student or a teacher dies? Not if, when. We really and truly are asking a large group across the state to put themselves at very high risk and potentially pass away and leave their own families in this situation.
Educators and families have a lot of questions, like how will it be handled if someone in a school tests positive for COVID-19? ISTA wants more clear guidance and mandates from the state health department. At last week's state briefing, the health commissioner said that can be difficult because no one situation will be the same.
Is this just in one classroom in the school, or is it in every classroom? Is it in all grades? Is it your staff, your teachers, and everyone? So it's really more, as the governor says, a consultation between the superintendent and principals of those schools, along with their local health officer for that county, and the State Department of Health. If they would like us to be engaged with that, we would be happy to be engaged.
State leaders will likely answer more questions about school safety at tomorrow afternoon's briefing. Watch it live at 2:30 here on RTV6 and at our website, theindychannel.com.
Now to the latest on the toll the pandemic is taking on Hoosier lives. 2,582 deaths in Indiana are blamed on COVID-19. 13 newly reported deaths happened between July 3rd and yesterday. 578,000 people have been tested for the virus, and just over 9% have tested positive. And a Central Indiana woman who survived COVID is sharing her story with WRTV. She hopes her experience sends a message.
This is a very serious virus. My children were discussing my funeral. That's how serious it was and how critically ill I was from COVID.
Leslie Vogel is a nurse, and even though she does not work with patients anymore, she still caught the virus while on the job. She spent 41 days in the intensive care unit and 31 days on a ventilator. Leslie says she did not have any previous conditions before being diagnosed with the virus.
Never have seen anything like this in my 39 years of nursing. We've never seen anything like this virus before, so please be careful out there.
Leslie is back at home but still recovering. She says 10 out of 15 nurses in her department tested positive for COVID-19.
A Richmond school board member is facing calls to resign. This afternoon, dozens of people gathered outside the district's administration office to send a message about Suzanne Derengowski. She and her husband, a well-known local sports broadcaster, are facing backlash over an online podcast. Critics say it included racist comments that a district leader should not make. Some community members are standing by Derengowski.
I would never believe in stifling someone's First Amendment rights, but when you hold positions such as a board member or even in a job, there can be repercussions for what you state publicly and believe in.
She's been on that school board for years and done great things for this city, so I wish people would appreciate her character and what she's done in the past and not judge her on whatever happened.
The school board president tells RTV6 the board does not have the power to force her to resign, but he says members are listening to the concerns. Derengowski released a statement on behalf of herself and her husband. She says they did not mean to cause harm and they will work to deepen their understanding of racial injustice in America.
The man at the center of a viral video from Lake Monroe is responding to claims that he instigated what happened. Vox Booker has spoken out several times, saying men in this video here pinned him down and threatened to lynch him. Yesterday, an attorney for a couple seen in this video said Booker punched one of the men multiple times and the group was restraining him. Booker's attorney denies that. She released a statement saying in part, quote, "Mr. Booker did not instigate this encounter. He did not provoke anyone to hold him against his will. He did not yell or shout or lose his temper. You cannot provoke racism." To read the full statement, watch yesterday's news conference and find the latest on the investigation. Head to our website at theindychannel.com.
Investigators are expected to release more information tomorrow about a shooting in Brownsburg that left 2 people dead. It happened just after 1 o'clock this afternoon in a residential neighborhood on Grant Street, not far from downtown. Police say they found 2 males dead in the street. There are no arrests in the case, but officials say the community is not in danger.
Any individual that was involved in this incident or tied to this incident is known, identified. There is absolutely no threat to the community whatsoever at this time. We are hopeful to be able to release information tomorrow in regards to the identity of the deceased individuals and possibly additional details surrounding the incident itself.
Look for updates on our website, theindychannel.com, or on the RTV6 app.
The pandemic will likely still be a concern during the November election. We are getting answers for voters who do not want to get stuck in long lines while casting their ballots. Kevin.
I'll focus on what comes with our rising rain chances over the next couple of days. We'll do that in a couple minutes.
It is going to be a perfect storm of financial difficulty for many, many people.
A lot of the assistance created to help people stay afloat financially during the pandemic is set to end this month. Coming up, advice to help you manage your debt and bills once that happens.
He's just a crazy veteran.
Are you serious? You can't say something like that.
Viewers around the country witnessed Hoosier hospitality tonight. The host of What Would You Do talks to WRTV about the popular show Stop in Indianapolis.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Friday Night Lights will shine brightly this week on the RTV6 Facebook page. Graduating seniors will be honored at the National Football Foundation Central Indiana Chapter Annual Scholastic Awards. Sports Director Dave Furst hosts as 15 student athletes from 14 area schools are selected. Watch Friday night at 7:30 only on the RTV6 Facebook page.
We are at the very beginning stages of planning significantly more in-person voting sites for Election Day.
Those plans could mean voters in Marion County won't face long lines in November like the ones seen here during the primary election. With 16 weeks until the general election, there is a lot that you need to know. Working for you, RTV6's Cornelius Hawker reached out to the Marion County election officials to find out what's being done to make sure everyone can exercise their right to vote.
We're doing everything that we can to help prevent those long lines.
Russell Hollis, Deputy Director with the Marion County Clerk's Office, tells me making the voting experience better for the general election is a top priority.
Ideally, we'll have voting for the full 28-day period, which is the normal early voting period.
Along with early voting, Hollis also wants people to know about the option to vote by mail.
We encourage them to use the state's online portal to vote by mail. It's a more efficient process for voters, and it does eliminate some of the steps for error that a voter can make when applying on a paper application.
As more people consider voting by mail to cut down on the risk of contracting coronavirus, Hollis encourages you to make sure you read all the instructions that come with absentee ballots. Marion County didn't count 1,806 of the ballots they received for the primary election.
Some of the ballots that were rejected because they were lacking the voter's signature. So there is a signature space in yellow on the back of the return envelope, and the election board must match the voter's signature on the application with the signature that is on the back of that return envelope.
November's election is going to have its challenges. Hollis wants voters to know election officials are doing all they can to make things easier.
You'll see less lines or smaller lines on Election Day.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
The number of in-person voting places hasn't been decided, but Hollis tells RTV6 it will be more than what was offered in Marion County for the primary election.
Indiana families can take part in their own adventures thanks to a local organization. Tonight, the state chapter of the group A Kid Again hosted a drive-through party near 82nd and Allisonville on the northeast side of Indianapolis. A Kid Again helps create memorable trips and outings for children with life-threatening conditions. Of course, the organization has had to adjust because of restrictions and risks caused by the pandemic. This party kicked off the organization's Adventures in a Box program.
Children often get a postcard about the adventure and they put that on the refrigerator, and besides a doctor's visit or a surgery, they have an adventure with a kid again to look forward to, so it's really important.
Families enjoyed music, yard games, chalk art, and other entertainment at safe social distances. Kevin, it was a beautiful night tonight, regardless of what you were doing, even though that party looked like pretty good fun.
2 in a row, beautiful nights. Let me just show you something. My fingerprints are all over this forecast. One thing I've discovered working in the home studio is that now that I use my TV as kind of the weather map to present, I'm touching it all the time, so I get my fingerprints all over the screen, so it's time to clean it. so you can see it. All right, let's talk about the changes. Tomorrow night at this time, thunderstorms will be pushing into western Indiana and move through overnight into Thursday morning. We'll hold on to a daily chance for showers and thunderstorms as we go beyond that. Tonight's thunderstorms are way to the northwest. The same spark, the cold front that sits there, will move closer to us tomorrow night into Thursday. 3 changes for tomorrow. The humidity more noticeable. Temperatures in many spots will climb just above 90 degrees, and those thunderstorm chances slowly return. I don't think you're dealing with any thunderstorm chances through the daylight hours, maybe towards sunset in the western portion of the state, and then moving east from there. The wind direction is a 4th change I could point out. The wind will be more out of the south, 10 to 15 miles per hour with some higher gusts. That brings in the higher humidity. Whereas our dew point temperatures have been in the 50s and low 60s, once you get back to 65, then you start to notice the humidity, and we'll be in the low 70s for dew points many days in a row once we get to Friday. As far as tomorrow, that wind out of the south, the temperature 86 by noon, 91 for the afternoon high. We'll begin to see more cloud cover through the afternoon. Then our chance for thunderstorms will increase later tonight and peak in the overnight hours before you rise on a Thursday morning. As far as any strong storms, there is a marginal or low risk for severe weather over the western half of the state. We'll keep our eye on how it may change tomorrow. Damaging wind would be the main threat. The storms are stronger in Illinois earlier in the evening, but by 7 to 9, you see that line approaching the Wabash River in western Indiana. It loses some strength pushing east, but may still have gusty winds and some heavy downpours. There's your ongoing rain into Thursday morning. When we get going Thursday, the rain chances, I think, decrease as you go through the day. 7-day forecast shows an increase in the temperatures 6 out of the 7 days, highs in the 90s. Notice how consistently low temperatures will be in the 70s, mid-70s in many spots for the overnight low, and that daily chance for thunderstorms. I'll do some more polishing here while you guys keep going.
Get to work, Kevin. Get to work.
I'm going to change the oil on this.
It's looking good, nice and shiny. Hey, what would you do? Some people in Indianapolis know the answer to that question tonight after the hidden camera show stopped on the east side. As you saw about an hour ago, several people stepped in to help a veteran who struggled to place an order as his server grew frustrated and made rude comments. Viewers know the two are actors playing out a scenario of a veteran suffering from a traumatic brain injury. The host of the show tells RTV6 other customers who did not know this was staged lived up to their reputation for Hoosier hospitality.
And I got to tell you, time and again in your wonderful city of Indianapolis, people stepped in to help them. They yelled at the waitress. They asked for the manager. And more importantly, they sat down with our victim of TBI and read to him the menu, sat with him. They invited him to have lunch with them, and then often at times they actually paid for his lunch.
This was filmed before the pandemic, and if you missed tonight's episode of What Would You Do, you can look for it on the ABC website.
The Rebound Indiana is sharing advice from experts to help you get through this difficult economic time, and next month could create a financial crisis for many people as rent, mortgage, and debt moratoriums expire. The extra $600 a week in unemployment benefits is also ending soon. Scripps reporter Alicia Nieves talked to consumer advocates about how to manage what's coming.
The next few weeks mark the beginning of serious financial uncertainty for millions of people. A slew of debt, from income tax payments to several months of rent, are going to be due at the same time.
It is going to be a perfect storm of financial difficulty for many, many people.
Andrea Bob Stark, an attorney at the National Consumer Law Center, is trying to help people prepare and has 3 steps anyone can take. Step 1, sit down and create a list of top priority bills and debt to pay.
People are going to be barraged with debt collectors calling and trying to get them to pay on a medical debt or a credit card debt. But those debts are less important. Pay debts that, if you didn't pay them, would cause immediate harm to your family. So those are like, your rent and a car payment, especially if you need your car to go to work. If you have a judgment against you, try and make a payment plan to pay that, because a creditor could issue a garnishment against your wages.
Step 2 would be to contact your lenders to make a payment plan on those priority debts.
We're seeing data come in that there are people that are delinquent but don't have a forbearance agreement when they could very easily be in a forbearance agreement. And I know wait times on the phone are horrible right now, but you have to be persistent.
Step 3, find a way to stick to your list.
It may sound obvious, but if you have it on paper and you have created a budget, stick that to the refrigerator or wherever. If your son or daughter says, oh, well, I want this or that. No, look at the fridge. These are our priority spending items. Sorry.
Because every situation may not be as easy as 1, 2, 3, the NCLC has now made its in-depth guide to surviving debt free at nclc.org. It has letters to send to debt collectors and hundreds of pages of help to get you through this tough time. I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
And a reminder, you can now apply for assistance if you need help paying rent. That includes back payments. There are several requirements. If you live in Marion County, go to indyrent.org for more info and to sign up. If you live anywhere else in Indiana, go to indianahousingnow.org. We'll be right back after this break.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Hiring Hoosiers is connecting you to resources as the country works to rebound from the COVID-19 crisis. Social media can be a powerful tool in the job search. Our career coach has advice on how to navigate the positives and the pitfalls.
So is social media helping or hurting your professional image? The fact of the matter is employers are checking social media before an interview and once you're at a workplace. So it's important that you manage your social media reputation. Social media gives employers a chance to see you outside of the workplace. It's a great place to show off your professional image and how well you communicate, and also show off your personality, those hobbies, your interests, your sense of humor, and your values. It's also a really great place for them to see that you can fit in with the culture of their company. It's really important also to stay active on your social media sites, especially Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So remember, before you post, to ask yourself, what message am I sending? You always want to showcase the best of your personality and your professional skills. It's important to be public, and employers can find you by your name. And it's important to go through those old posts, take off things that are not going to make you look good to that employer. You can go back and make certain posts public and make certain posts private. You don't want to make your whole social media private because the employers can't see your personality and see the person that you are. Sometimes employers think it's suspicious when you're not public.
For more career resources, go to hiringhoosiers.com. We'll be right back.
This map says it all. Hot during the day, hot overnight, and heat index values around 100. The high tomorrow, 91. We're dry until tomorrow night. We back off a little bit Thursday at 87. And temperature Friday, Amanda, 91.
It's getting hotter. Thanks for making RTV6 your choice for news. GMI starts at 4:30. Good night.